In professional wrestling, a last name can be a golden ticket. Names like Rhodes, Flair, and Anoa'i carry history, a built-in story that fans instantly get. But what happens when a name from outside the wrestling bubble, a name tied to bone-crunching Hollywood action and 80s supermodel glamour, decides to step into the ring? For decades, the name Seagal was a brand built on impossible toughness and scary good martial arts skill. The next chapter of that legacy isn't being written on a movie set. It's being forged in sweat, pain, and shocking defiance inside a wrestling ring. When you hear daughter of an action star, you probably picture a flashy, all-style, no-substance gimmick. Fans expected a model, not a martial artist. They expected red carpet smiles, not ruthless aggression. But what they got was something else entirely. What they got was a brutally efficient, no-nonsense fighter who left everyone watching intently. This isn't just a story about a celebrity's kid playing wrestler. It's a story of a dream that seemed to vanish, a fall into a dark place, and an insane comeback that has put the entire industry on notice. This is the incredible, untold story of how Arissa LeBrock, daughter of Steven Seagal and Kelly LeBrock, overcame a massive setback in the shadow of her parents to build her own name in the most brutal art form on the planet. To really get Arissa LeBrock's journey, you have to appreciate the huge shadow she was born under. Her father is Steven Seagal, a man who for a whole generation wasn't just an actor, he was a global brand, a legitimate 7th Dan black belt in Aikido, and the first non-Japanese person to run an Aikido dojo in Japan. His entire persona was built on real, intimidating martial arts skill. Her mother was Kelly LeBrock, the supermodel and actress who defined an era with roles in classics like The Woman in Red and Weird Science. She was the face of Pantene, a symbol of 80s glamour. Arissa grew up caught between these two completely different worlds. To shield her kids from a high-profile divorce and Hollywood pressure, Kelly LeBrock moved the family to a quiet ranch, far from the spotlight. This life away from the cameras instilled a different kind of fight in Arissa. While she eventually followed in her mom's footsteps with a successful career as a plus-size model, another part of her heritage was calling. It wasn't the movie business, but the real-deal combat sports behind it. Secretly, away from the cameras and fashion shoots, Arissa began seriously training in Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu, one of the most grueling martial arts on the planet. This wasn't a celebrity hobby. She became a dedicated and fierce competitor, training at the renowned Paragon Jiu-Jitsu and earning medals in tournaments. She was building a foundation of legitimate combat skill, not for a movie role, but for herself. This wasn't an actress playing a tough character. This was a legit combat athlete forging her own credibility, one submission at a time. This rare blend of qualities, the marketability of a model and the certified toughness of a BJJ practitioner, set her on a collision course with an even more unforgiving world, professional wrestling. In December of 2019, the wrestling world started buzzing about an unlikely name. Arissa LeBrock, the model daughter of Steven Seagal and Kelly LeBrock, had been invited for a multi-day tryout at the WWE Performance Center. For any aspiring superstar, this is the golden ticket. The Performance Center is a factory where the next generation of icons are made, designed to push elite athletes to their absolute limits. The pressure was huge. In wrestling, a famous name from outside the business is both a blessing and a curse. It gets your foot in the door, but it also brings a mountain of skepticism. Arissa knew she had to work twice as hard to prove she was there for her skills, not just her last name. She arrived as a promoter's dream. She had the look, the pedigree, and the legit combat sports background WWE loves. She threw herself into the tryout, ready to prove to everyone she belonged. The dream was right there, and then it all went quiet. While the exact details were kept private, something went wrong. Shortly after the tryout, Arissa sustained an injury that put her wrestling ambitions on hold. This wasn't a minor sprain, it was a major setback that stopped her career before it could even begin. One moment, She was on the verge of a new life. The next, the dream was ripped away. The WWE contract was off the table. The buzz came to a screeching halt. Because she wasn't officially signed, there was no public statement from WWE, and the internet started speculating. Was she not good enough? Did she have a bad attitude? The most persistent rumor was that she was a celebrity kid who couldn't handle the grind. For years, that was the story. Silence. The hype faded, and Arissa LeBrock vanished from wrestling. What followed was a dark period. She later admitted with incredible honesty, "I realized that I had become comfortable in the darkest, worst place in my life." For most people, that would have been the end. But in wrestling, the greatest stories are always about the comeback. If you're finding this journey as inspiring as we are, do us a favor and hit that like button, and make sure you subscribe so you don't miss our next story. A dream put on hold can either break you or forge you into something stronger. For Arissa LeBrock, her time away from the ring became a full-on rebirth, and it all started with one life-changing phone call. On the other end of the line was a voice that understood struggle and the weight of a famous last name. It was Dustin Rhodes. If you don't know Dustin Rhodes, he's not just some trainer, he's wrestling royalty. As the son of the legendary American Dream Dusty Rhodes, he's lived his entire life under the microscope. He's a master of reinvention, from the natural to the bizarre and brilliant Goldust in WWE. Now a respected veteran coach in all-elite wrestling, Dustin is revered for his longevity and his brilliant wrestling mind. When Dustin reached out to Arissa, he saw past the injury, the celebrity parents, and the failed tryout. He saw an athlete with untapped potential and a story that was far from over. He offered her a second chance, an invitation to move to Texas and train at his school, the Rhodes Wrestling Academy. For Arissa, that phone call was the jolt she needed. It shook her from that comfortable darkness. She packed her bags, left her life in California, and went all in on pro wrestling. The Rhodes Wrestling Academy is a world away from the polished WWE Performance Center. It's a place built on old-school principles, hard work, fundamentals, and respect for the craft. Here, Arissa wasn't a number in a mass tryout. She was a student under a master's guidance. She worked with a personal trainer to rebuild her body, getting stronger than ever. Dustin spoke on her process, saying, "We're working with a personal trainer, and she's trying to get everything, all her ducks in a row." Under Rhodes's mentorship, she learned how to translate her grappling knowledge into the art of the squared circle. You can even see how her father's Aikido, based on joint locks and momentum, blends with her BJJ background. It all started to merge into a unique hybrid style, a dangerous mix of raw power and technical grappling. Dustin was blown away by her dedication. The praise from the legend himself was glowing. He told Sports Guys Talking Wrestling, "She's doing a great job, but this is only the beginning for her." Then he made a bold prediction. Pretty soon, the whole world's going to be talking about Arissa LeBrock. After months of transformative training, the moment of truth arrived. In March 2023, Arissa LeBrock graduated from the Rhodes Wrestling Academy and competed in its student showcase. This was her official in-ring debut. Now let's be clear. This wasn't in a giant arena under the bright lights of network TV. It was in an intimate Texas setting, in front of a small but passionate crowd, the kind of hardcore fans who know the sacrifice it takes just to step through those ropes. This was real. This was earned. When she made her entrance, the transformation was immediate. She wasn't a model or a celebrity's daughter. She was a survivor. She was a professional wrestler. She carried herself with a quiet confidence, a cold, focused intensity that felt reminiscent of her father's on-screen persona. She entered the ring for a 2-on-1 handicap match, a tough spot for any rookie. From the moment the bell rang, it was clear this was no gimmick. Arissa didn't move like a model. She moved like a predator. Her style wasn't flashy. It was brutally efficient. She relied on a punishing, submission-based offense that was a violent fusion of her BJJ grappling and pro wrestling power. Early in the match, her opponents tried to use their numbers advantage, but Arissa's raw strength was obvious. They bounced off her on clothesline attempts. It took both of them just to get her off her feet. She manhandled her opponents, showcasing a dominant powerhouse style. The small crowd, initially just curious, was captivated. Commentators were shocked, comparing her impressive power to dominant forces like Nia Jax. The finish was decisive and brutal. Arissa caught an opponent and hoisted her up with incredible strength, planting her in the center of the ring with a devastating spinebuster slam. 1, 2, 3. It was over. She didn't just win. She made a statement. The crowd wasn't just watching a rookie. They were seeing the result of a 4-year journey of pain and resilience. This wasn't a celebrity appearance. It was a martial arts clinic. That night, she proved that the devastating setback that felt like an ending was actually the detour that forged her character. As she stood in the ring, her arm raised in victory, she wasn't Steven Seagal's daughter. She was, finally, a professional wrestler. Arissa LeBrock's journey proves that legacy isn't just what you're given. It's what you build. She was born into Hollywood royalty, but chose the grind of the squared circle. She faced a career-stalling injury that would have made most people quit and simply refused to be defeated. Guided by a wrestling legend, she rebuilt herself from scratch, trading a life of comfort for the sweat and sacrifice of the mat. The WWE door that closed on her in 2019 might not be locked forever, but she didn't just wait for it to reopen. She went out and built her own entrance, brick by painful brick. She has forged an identity that is all her own. She is no longer just the daughter of Hollywood stars trying to be a wrestler. She is a wrestler, period. She has proven that a famous name isn't a free pass, and she is carrying her own with a strength that has the entire wrestling world talking. Just as her mentor Dustin Rhodes predicted, people are starting to talk about Arissa LeBrock. The question is no longer if she belongs, but where her incredible journey takes her next. So, what do you think? Now that you know the real story, do you believe Arissa LeBrock is the next big thing in women's wrestling? And who is another celebrity kid you'd love to see in the ring? Let me know in the comments below. And if you enjoyed this story, make sure to hit that like button and subscribe for more stories from the world of professional wrestling.